I was the only black woman that I saw on the island while we were there. And this was like end of May. I was the only black woman that I saw rocking natural hair. And I think all of those things combined made me feel so insecure. And I think it was that moment that I was like, I think I hate my 4C hair. There's no reason I should have been in beautiful Turks and Caicos and been thinking about like, and been so insecure. Like, I enjoyed myself. It was my first trip out of the country postpartum. So far, it's been my only trip out of the country postpartum. And I did not feel, I enjoyed myself, but I remember feeling like I just didn't feel secure. I didn't feel pretty. And I think a lot of that is rooted in the ways that I've internalized whiteness, white supremacy, and white culture. Hey y'all, Janice on the mic. In this video, I wanted to talk about the exact moment that I realized I hated my 4C hair. Now, I made a video about my hair journey. I have a couple videos on my channel that I'm gonna link about my hair journey and my big chop. I just big chopped my hair. My mom did it 2 months ago. And this is my first big chop in 14 years. And I realized that I needed to big chop because I had such a deeply ingrained attachment to my hair. And I want to talk about the moment last year, again, when I realized I think I kind of hate my 4C hair. Now, I never really wear my 4C hair out. And as I've shared in previous videos, anytime I have worn my hair out, when it was before I did my big chop, it was in a stretched state. So I always did twist outs. After I had my child, my hair had grown a lot and my mom had colored it. And my hair has been blonde for like, or some variation of a dark blonde for over a decade. And my mom decided that she wanted to up the color because I wanted something different after I had, you know, postpartum. I wanted a different look. So she upped the color and I was doing twist outs. And I'm gonna insert some pictures here. I was doing twist outs and things. And I really loved how my hair looked, but only in the stretch state. I would never do like a wash and go because when I do a wash and go, I think I have some pictures. This is how my hair looks. And I have bought into the white supremacist notion that in order for a woman to look good, she has to have long hair, she has to be feminine. And it's been a lifelong journey. So I realized that I only wear my hair out in its stretched state. And it's probably like videos I've been watching over the last few years that made me realize that even though I was wearing my natural hair, I always felt like I had to do something to it. I never just wear my hair as it grows out of my scalp. And in my book, I cite this book a lot actually, Decentering Whiteness in the Workplace, I talk about how whiteness is centered in the workplace, but I actually have a chapter called Decentering Whiteness within myself. And I talk about my whole journey throughout my life of how I centered whiteness. And as somebody who grew up in predominantly white spaces, you know, I wanted to assimilate into whiteness because I wanted to be accepted. I didn't want to be made fun of. I was made fun of for my hair, me and my sister. We both have super thick hair. And I talked about in previous videos how they used to call us chia pets. And I'm dating myself, but millennials remember chia pets, which were these little like bonsai trees that you could like shape into different things. And this little boy would be like, chia, this little white boy. And, you know, I've had so many different instances of little microaggressive things that have happened when it comes to my hair. And so my mom, you know, had a hot comb. The first time we got our hair hot combed, I was probably like 10 or 11. And I just remember, you know, you got to dodge the hot comb burn in your ear. You got to like hold your ear down. And yeah, I actually think my mom got her cosmetology license so she could learn how to take care of our hair because we had so much hair, and our hair was so thick. And so I just realized during COVID that I didn't know how to do my hair. You know, during COVID, it was tough. And I loved how long and thick my hair was during COVID. I'll insert a picture here. And I started doing twist outs and all of these styles, but I never really felt comfortable, again, rocking my hair as it was. I felt like 4C hair is nice when it's long, or 4C hair is nice when it's in a stretch state. And I am at the point in my life where I want to shed all of that. I think because it was Aries season a couple months ago, shout out to all the Aries, especially my March Aries, because it was Aries season and I am soon going to embark on a new journey in my life. And, you know, at the stage I am in my life, I wanted to shed all of the extra stuff, all of the weight. And hair carries a lot of energy. In indigenous and Native American cultures and a lot of different cultures, they greatly revere hair, right? I believe in Hindu culture, in some Indian cultures, the men don't cut their hair. In Rastafarian cultures, there's some people say that Rastafarians don't cut their hair, and, you know, they greatly revere their dreads. And so in so many different cultures, hair is a thing where, excuse me, you don't cut it. The males don't cut their facial hair. And so hair carries energy. And I didn't want 14 years of energy sitting on my head. There's so much that has happened in the last 14 years. And I just wanted to start fresh and learn how to love myself and my hair again. As somebody who has been conditioned and programmed to think that my hair, and 4C hair in particular, is ugly, I wanted to start this journey to loving my hair and loving myself. And I want my child to see me loving my hair. I don't want my child to see me in all of these different hairstyles that don't actually look like my own hair, or see me in you know, I want my child to be able to see me in my completely natural state. You know, because I think there are so many subconscious messages that parents send to their children that tell them that whiteness is good and blackness is bad. And luckily, I lived in a household where that was never the thing. My dad cut his own hair and he would cut my brother's hair. And my mom actually rocked short hair. My mom's hair was like this for years. She had, you know, she had colored it. It was like strawberry blonde. It was red. It was dark. So my mom, I never got those messages at home telling me my hair was ugly, right? In fact, my mom embraced it. But in school and in the media, that's a whole nother thing. And, you know, once you get to adolescence, it's kind of like, forget what your parents say. It's more like, what are your peers doing? And all of my peers were getting relaxers. So I remember when I was like 16, I begged my mom. My mom had this Chi flat iron. And back in the day, the Chi was everything. In the early 2000s, mid 2000s, everybody had like, the Chi was like that girl when it came to flat irons. And I remember I would like go and steal my mom's, or run and use my mom's Chi. And they were expensive. I think they were like $200, which was a lot for a teenager in the 2000s. But I would straighten my hair, and I would ask my mom to straighten it. I think she gave me my first relaxer toward the end of my high school. So I don't know, maybe I was like 16 or 17. But I did get my first chemicals in my hair maybe when I was 8 or 9. And it wasn't a relaxer. It was actually what they now call a perm, which is what a lot of non-Black people put in their hair to make their hair curly. So my mom actually put that in our hair to like soften the texture, because again, our hair is a lot. For me as an adult, to detangle and all of that when my hair was longer, the process takes about 2 hours. And if you're doing that every single day for 2 heads, and my sister's hair is a little bit more coarse than mine, it's a lot. So I, again, like all of this to say, I learned at a young age that my hair was acceptable, but only in a certain way. You know, like I wasn't acceptable as I was, but I was acceptable if I did this or if I did that. And so that stayed with me as I grew up. And throughout college, I had all kinds of hairstyles. I had braids, I had weaves. I started really getting into weaves when I was in college. And then in grad school, I used to wear a lot of wigs, and I had a perm in my hair, essentially. Not a relaxer, but like an actual perm, which softened my curls. And then when I got to my PhD program is when I moved to New York, I had my mom cut all my hair off. And I kept it for a couple months, and then I was like, it's cold in New York, and I just didn't feel comfortable with short hair. So I started doing the protective styles again, protective. And I've been doing that for the last 14 years, and during COVID, I had nobody to do my hair, so I was like, I was blow dried my hair during COVID, and it was longer back then, but I never again wore it out in its natural state, and I would do twist styles and all of that. After I had my child, that's when I'm like, okay, I kind of want to take out these locks. I had these faux locks, and I was rocking it, but I'm just like, you know what? My entire life, I've kind of hidden behind this like, oh, a woman is only pretty if she looks this way, or if her hair looks this way. And I want to kind of just shed all of these white supremacist notions of beauty. And, you know, when you look at, I wrote about this in an article about texturism and 4C hair discrimination, but when you actually look at the history of the hair typing chart, it is essentially a derivative of a hair typing system that was used as a white supremacist tool by a German in Namibia. There was a Namibian genocide, and this German man came into Namibia and was like, I want to figure out who has a closer proximity to whiteness. So he developed this hair typing system to denote or to ascertain who had a proximity to whiteness. And that was morphed into the hair typing system we use today with the numbers and the letters that was developed by Andre Walker, who was Oprah's hairstylist, former hairstylist. So the origins of the hair typing system that we even use is rooted in white supremacy. So I am just grappling with, or I've been grappling with all of the ways that I was taught that I was ugly. And my hair is a huge part of that. I still, you know, deal with fat phobia. And I think postpartum, that was a big thing. But I feel like what is so deeply ingrained in me is the hair thing. And so I wanted to shed that because I don't want to be a slave to my hair and feel like I can't leave the house because, you know, when I'm one of those people, I don't get my nails done like that. Even though my mom always has her nails done. I've never been that person. I can leave the house, you know, with fairly no makeup, but I need my hair done. I need my hair done. I cannot, yeah. So it's definitely been a really interesting journey for me. But let's get to the story of when I realized I hated my 4C hair. So last year, I was a little after I was a year postpartum, my partner and I went to Turks and Caicos. Never been to Turks and Caicos before. And it was just gonna be a trip with the two of us. So I was so excited, but I didn't feel fully in my body or embodied because I was, again, a year postpartum and I had just stopped pumping. And I made a video about my pumping journey if y'all wanna watch, but I was an exclusive pumper. So I was pumping 8 times a day with my child. And so I was eating 2 lactation brownies every day to help me produce milk. So I had put on weight. And when we went to Turks and Caicos, I didn't feel like myself already because I was in my postpartum body and it was a new experience for me. But also right before, the night before we left, I asked my mom to trim my hair. Because I usually like how my hair looks when it's freshly trimmed. So she trimmed it, but because she had added, I wanted her to add more bleach to it and make it blonder. The ends definitely, more than the ends, needed to be cut. So it was actually, I looked like, and I'm not saying this to be derogatory, but I looked like a little troll doll. I was a cute troll doll, but if y'all remember the little troll dolls, that's what I looked like. And I just felt so insecure that I guess I had I have so much hair. I could start my own little hair shop. I have boxes and boxes and containers of different types of hair. And so I asked my mom to sew in, and my mom's forte is not sewing. She didn't do a lot of weaves. That's not really her forte, but she knows how to do it because, you know, she's a master cosmetologist. So I asked her to sew in some extra hair so my hair would be like more afro-like, because I was like, oh, it's short, but if it's like bigger, thicker, I'll feel more comfortable. So she sewed in some pieces in the back, but it didn't really match with my hair. I'll see if I can insert a picture, and if I find one, I'll put it in. But I felt so insecure in Turks and Caicos, and I don't even think I told my partner about this, but I felt so insecure because Turks and Caicos, if you've ever been, it's like full of quote unquote exotic women, right? Non-black women or biracial women. And they all looked beautiful. They all had long flowing hair. And I did not see any black women. We went to this like boat. It wasn't a boat. It was like an outside. If you've been to Turks and Caicos and you partake in the nightlife or the day life, they have these Sunday day parties. So we went to this day party on a Sunday. It was like, I don't want to say in the ocean. It was like in the water, and it gets lit. We got there early. It's like an all day thing. It starts, I think, at like noon, and it really starts to get like crunk. Nobody says crunk anymore, but it really starts to get lit maybe around 3 or 4, and you can like float. It seems like it's dangerous because people might, if you're a little too drunk, you might be in the water and drown, but it was a lot of fun. And we were like floating on something, but they're all harnessed, or like they don't move, but you're like kind of in the water. It was a whole experience. But I remember being there and seeing black women, but all the black women I saw had long hair or weaves or protective styles. Nobody just had short hair. Like nobody had a baldy or like a little short afro. And I just felt so insecure because I was already, again, not in my body. I felt like I was already carrying extra weight that didn't make me feel comfortable. I just stopped breastfeeding, and I was the only black woman that I saw on the island while we were there. And this was like the end of May. I was the only black woman that I saw rocking natural hair. And I think all of those things combined made me feel so insecure. And I think it was that moment that I was like, I think I hate my 4C hair. And that was a year ago. That was almost a year ago, actually. And I've been thinking about that. And since then, I've had protective styles and stuff that makes me feel more pretty, more secure. You know, I have a blonde crochet that I always have a bunch of packs of at home. So when I go to Atlanta, there's this amazing woman named Julie that I go to, and I get my hair done. She does an amazing job. And I decided that last October, I was like, I want to cut my hair. In October of 2025, I was like, I want to cut my hair. And so I had my mom like trim it down. So it was like this, but in March, so for Aries season of 2026, she actually did the full thing where she took her clippers, she took her, what is it called? The razor thing, and she did her thing. And I'm so happy the blonde is out, and that it's like, there are tiny little pieces that still have the blonde, but you can't really tell. But I'm so happy that I have this fresh start, because there's no reason I should have been in beautiful Turks and Caicos and been thinking about like, and been so insecure. Like, I enjoyed myself. It was my first trip out of the country postpartum. So far, it's been my only trip out of the country postpartum. And I did not feel, I enjoyed myself, but I remember feeling like I just didn't feel secure. I didn't feel pretty. And I think a lot of that is rooted in the ways that I've internalized whiteness, white supremacy, and white culture. So I just wanted to share. I don't know if y'all can relate, or there was an exact moment for those of you watching who have 4C hair where you realized, I really don't vibe with my hair, and what exactly you are doing to grapple with that. For me, I felt like it was necessary to just cut my hair because I can't hide anymore. There's nothing I can hide behind. When you have hair, you can hide behind your hair. You could throw in a protective style. You could do all kinds of stuff and kind of like recover your self-esteem. But with hair like this, I could, there are some stylists that can grip this and maybe, put braids in, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to hide behind my hair anymore. I want to learn to love my hair and myself in every iteration. And for me, that starts with admitting the ways that, as Audre Lorde said, recognizing that piece of the oppressor that's buried deep within me and understanding and grappling with that. And so the acknowledgement and the recognition is the first piece. And then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna, if I had my choice, I probably would have shaved it and done a baldy, because I think baldies are so badass. But I didn't do that, but who knows, it's not outside the realm of possibility. But I just want to enjoy this phase. I don't want to put any protective styles in. We'll see, because I would love to go like a year of rocking this hair without doing anything to it, without putting in braids or doing this or doing that. So we'll see, because I don't know how I'm gonna feel in 6 months or 8 months or 12 months, but I really do think that this is an important phase for me. And if you are somebody who has been grappling with loving your hair, I encourage you to maybe think about big chopping, or think about ways you can disrupt the whiteness and the ways that whiteness and that piece of the oppressor that has been buried deep within you. So I just wanted to share this because I feel like I can't be in workplaces advocating for accountability and advocating for people to recognize their biases and offering strategies to interrogate your biases without also recognizing how we've internalized these biases and how they show up in our own life. I felt like it was hypocritical to encourage anti-oppression work, and I haven't even done the work to interrogate the ways that I've internalized oppression. So those are my thoughts. I hope that this sparks something in you to maybe start thinking about whether there was a moment in your life recently or when you were a child that you realized, I really do not like my hair. And I hope that this video also makes you start thinking about ways that you can counteract that. And maybe for some people, having a daughter, is something that makes you counteract that, or having kids, or, maybe something else in your life. But I do think that it's important for us, in order to create a better world. There's so many quotes. There's one quote, I don't remember who said it, but it's like, at first I wanted to change the world, and then I settled on changing myself. And so that's the type of wave I'm on. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I hope y'all find this video to be interesting and informative and insightful. I'll leave some resources. I always have mad resources on hair discrimination, texturism, all that, in the caption below or in the description box. But thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.